All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Think about your day so far, right? Did the Wi-Fi drop during a super important meeting? Maybe somebody completely cut you off in traffic? Look, if you're like most of us, your day is probably sprinkled with these endless minor complaints. It's just human nature. We're basically wired to fixate on exactly what goes wrong. But today, we're going to decode a piece of 300-year-old Sufi wisdom, and honestly, it is the absolute ultimate antidote to this modern struggle. We're looking at the profoundly eye-opening philosophy of the great Sufi saint Baba Bulla Shah. He offers a perspective that gives a totally new meaning to gratitude, or what we call shukrana, even when you're in the midst of pain, struggle, or literally having absolutely nothing. So to really grasp this, I want to just ask you directly, how on earth can someone with an empty stomach, absolutely zero money to their name, and a future that looks entirely dark, be genuinely, deeply grateful? It sounds almost impossible, right? Like a total contradiction. But this isn't just some abstract philosophical puzzle. This is the actual, shocking question that one of Baba Bulla Shah's very own disciples was forced to ask him. And to understand why this disciple was just so baffled, we have to look at the brutal reality of their daily lives. And this context is absolutely crucial. You see, Baba Bulla Shah was a fakir, basically an ascetic who's completely renounced all worldly possessions. And if you look closely at the reality of a fakir's life, it's exceptionally harsh. I mean, we're talking about days upon days passing without a single morsel of food, extreme starvation, absolute voluntary deprivation. I really want you to let the sheer gravity of that physical reality sink in for a second, because it makes what he did every single day seem completely mind-bending. Because despite that grueling physical reality, Bulla Shah maintained this unbroken rule. Every single morning and every single evening, with just absolute passion, he would thank the divine. Twice a day, without a single complaint ever crossing his lips. Just unrelenting, continuous shukrana, or gratitude. Now imagine his disciple watching this unfold. The guy is starving, he's exhausted, and he's watching his master act as if he'd just been handed the keys to a kingdom. Eventually, the disciple just couldn't take it anymore. He essentially asks, "Baba, we are fakirs. We literally don't get food for days at a time. Yet you thank the Almighty morning and evening like you're blessed with countless treasures. Why?" Which brings us to section 1, the illusion of certainty. So instead of hitting his disciple with some heavy intellectual logic, Baba Bulla Shah simply points to the physical world to explain this illusion of certainty, using the ultimate metaphor of nature. He tells his disciple, I've watched the sun rise, and I've watched it set. I have literally seen lamps that were completely extinguished suddenly reignite and burn bright again. He uses this perfectly natural cycle to prove that absolutely nothing in this world is permanent. The people sitting at the very top today, they can fall to the ground tomorrow. And conversely, those whose hope seems completely extinguished can spark back to life and rise again. He then takes this core observation about impermanence and applies it directly to how we, as a society, value things. He delivers this incredible, poetic line, even diamonds can lose their value while fake coins run in the market. This completely shatters our deeply held preconceived notions of wealth. Think about it. There are times when absolutely priceless diamonds are just ignored, completely worthless to the people around them, while fake, defective coins are happily traded and accepted in the market. It just goes to show that the value society places on material things is entirely hollow. It's unpredictable, and ultimately, it's just a total illusion. So the big takeaway here is pretty stark. Material pride can literally turn to zero in an instant. Think about how we live our modern lives. We constantly tie our ultimate happiness and our sense of security to, our bank balances, our job titles, our material stability. Bulla Shah is pointing out the absolute absurdity in doing that. If the material world is so fundamentally unpredictable and uncertain, well, basing our inner peace on it is just a losing game. It can all vanish in a split second. Moving right along to section 2, the power of divine grace. Okay. So if we can't rely on the material world, what exactly do we rely on? Well, Bulla Shah shifts the narrative completely away from human logic, and he points us toward an undeniable unseen force. To prove this unseen grace actually exists, he asks us to just look at an orphan's child. By all logical, biological, and economic odds, a completely helpless, destitute orphan in this harsh world has an incredibly low chance of survival. Yet, as Bulla Shah observed, these children not only survive, but they often thrive and flourish. How is that possible? It's sure not because of a huge bank balance.
It proves that survival really depends on an unseen grace, a divine mercy that operates way, way beyond our human spreadsheets and logic.
And this brings us to a really massive contrast. Think about our typical petty human complaints. In the source material, there's actually a great idiom mentioned: the lentils won't cook, which is basically a way of saying, my everyday plans just aren't working out. We literally cry over these tiny inconveniences. But contrast that with Bulla Shah's vision of grace. Through this divine mercy, he says he has seen stones melting. He has witnessed actual miracles. When we obsess over our minor daily lack, we actually become entirely blind to the massive, miraculous forces operating all around us every single day. He takes this even further with a highly visual metaphor. He speaks of grace allowing a person to literally walk on water. Now, obviously, walking on water defies every single rule of science and logic, but as a metaphor, it is unbelievably powerful. It means that when faith is true and divine grace is present, a human being can cross massive oceans of hardship. Oceans where anyone else, relying purely on cold material logic, would absolutely drown. True faith defies logic, and that is what keeps you afloat.
And that brings us to Section 3, shifting your ultimate perspective.
So, knowing that this unseen grace exists, how do we actually go about changing our daily mindset? Well, here is the tragic reality Bulla Shah warns us about. You can possess all the wealth in the entire world, but if you do not value the blessings you already have, you are going to end up completely empty-handed. Endless wealth without gratitude equals total spiritual bankruptcy. Seriously, if you don't have gratitude, it really doesn't matter what's sitting in your bank account. There is genuinely no one poorer than you. So how do we actually fix this perspective? Well, Bulla Shah gives us a super immediate grounding technique. Imagine folks who are walking barefoot on scorching, burning earth without even a simple pair of shoes to protect them. And there are countless people living that exact reality. Now, contrast that with having the simple blessing of a shaded roof over your head. That is not a small thing. The absolute quickest way to dissolve your daily complaints about what you lack is to just look downward at those who have far less. In an instant, your complaints just kind of vanish, don't they? And that exact shift in perspective leads to this climactic, staggering quote from Bulla Shah. "The Almighty has given me everything. Why shouldn't I be grateful?" I really want you to remember who is saying this. This is a starving ascetic, a man who literally hasn't eaten in days, declaring to the entire world that he has everything. It is just an incredible display of power to be able to declare you have everything when society looks at you and decides you have absolutely nothing. But, we do have to clarify what he actually means here, because everything clearly doesn't mean hidden gold or secret offshore bank accounts. For Bulla Shah, everything equals breath, life, and awareness. Just the sheer miracle of being alive, right? Of drawing breath and having the cognitive awareness to remember the divine and be thankful, that is the ultimate wealth. That is the everything he possesses, and it's something nobody can ever take away from him. Let's wrap it up with Section 4, the gratitude framework. Let's distill all this 300-year-old Sufi poetry into a highly practical, modern gratitude framework that you can actually apply to your daily life right now. Here are 4 actionable steps derived straight from his wisdom. Step 1, accept impermanence. Realize that material fortunes, both good and bad, are always going to shift, so don't anchor your peace to them. Step 2, acknowledge unseen grace. Recognize that human logic just doesn't dictate everything. There is a higher mercy helping you survive. Step 3, compare downward. Always look at those in a weaker position than you to instantly realign your perspective. And finally, step 4, value life itself. True wealth isn't external at all. It's the sheer gift of breathing and existing. Applying these 4 steps provides rock-solid mental stability, literally no matter how chaotic the world around you gets. I want to end this explainer by leaving you with one final, pretty provocative thought. If a starving ascetic, who society says has absolutely nothing, can look at his life and genuinely believe he has been given everything, what has been given to you that you are completely ignoring? What hidden blessings are sitting right in front of you that you can say thank you for today? Seriously, don't wait for things to be perfect. Today is the absolute best day to recognize those unseen gifts. Thank you so much for exploring this incredible philosophy with me.